right, let's welcome our next candidate. State your name and the position you are running for.
Tabitha Zeigler. I'm running for Congress in the 8th District.
Very good. Can you describe the 8th District a little bit for everybody to sort of let folks know what part of the state that is, maybe what counties? I know the 8th is huge. So
yeah, I was going to say it's very large. The tip top is Fountain County, where I am. It goes all the way down to Vanderburgh County, basically right to the very end of Indiana.
Very, very large district.
Very large.
And very, very, very rural, but also very diverse. You've got Evansville in there, right? Terre Haute is in there, and Tell City and Vincennes. So yeah, Sullivan. Yeah, I think Sullivan's up there for you. Okay. So, what inspired you to run for office in Congress in particular? That's a big one.
Yeah, I was tired of it. And right now we have a lot of issues going on with autism and disability rights, and it's just unacceptable. So, you had Trump, you had RFK, everybody's hating on autism. It seems like there's a war on autism. And I feel like you need someone that has autism to be representing everybody that has disabilities. And I find that disability advocates end up advocating for everybody.
It's true. The first they came for poem and fascists, they come for people with disabilities, whether it's physical disabilities or mental disabilities.
Well, let's not forget the trans community.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always been a strong advocate for the trans community. I've got friends of mine that are in the trans community. And so for me, it was really clear once they started in with them, I was like, here we go.
You always need an other, right? They always need a target, somebody to get folks angry at somebody who is responsible for your station in life, right? Even though that's not.
And really they always like to go after a very small minority, right?
Of course.
Like, let's just pick off one of the smaller minorities, and then they just ebb up from there.
So, one of the things we've been talking about today is our politicians are put up on a pedestal too often. We sort of do this thing where we build cults of personality around them. And really, we got to remember, folks are regular people with their own struggles. So what is something that has been a struggle in your life?
I'd say what hasn't been a struggle. I mean, I'm a mom of 3 kids with disabilities. All 3 of my kids have autism. I have one child that's nonverbal. I prefer non-speaking. He uses an AAC device. I'm the mom that's constantly filling out paperwork underneath the stove light. I've done, WIC and SNAP and switched jobs and, been single mom, primary caregiver. I just think there needs to be more representation like that. Like we need to find people that are real people that can speak to the type of things that actual Hoosiers are living.
They write these laws, they put these processes into place, and I don't think realize what all goes into navigating some of these things. And it sounds like you would take experience navigating these processes to Washington and, hopefully say to your colleagues, guys, what are we doing? We can do this better. We can make this better.
I'd say, here's our sheet. Let's sit down and have a grown-up conversation about all of the things. And then we can just chop it up like that. And for those people that would say, oh, we should ship autistic people off to a camp or whatever, then I think I'm a good example of a functional member of society that has autism that can speak on it. And my kids certainly deserve to be part of society. So, I would just beat my drum and they'd have to listen.
Well, about autism, and I'm glad you speak of this, and I can tell you're really passionate about it. We have to remember it is a spectrum, and it is a huge spectrum.
Yeah.
If autism were a congressional district, it would be the 8th.
Exactly.
Because you've got folks like you who are very high functioning. Like you can't tell somebody has autism a lot of times. And then on the other end of the spectrum, like you said, you've got folks who are not speaking or have various other I don't want to say symptoms, but conditions and things they have to struggle with that are more obvious. And it's like I said, it's a big spectrum.
Well, what I'd like to eventually get people to recognize is that if we start to have conversations about autism like we have about heart disease, or people that might be a little bit more like maybe their family is predisposed to have strokes. You know, autism is a genetic condition. And then once we get into this larger conversation, then we touch on eugenics, which is just a crapshoot. And I feel like that's where we're headed. So that's why I'm just like waving all the red flags and warning of like, hey, we're going a wrong direction here.
You know, I mean, they very much are, and they're telegraphing it. If you look at like what Peter Thiel and Elon Musk and those guys talk about, it's very scary, and it's very, very slippery slope, right? Yeah. So, boy, transition. That's dark.
Sure.
Let's do a fun one.
Okay.
If you were a fictional character, who would it be? Or you could also answer like, if you could be a fictional character, who would it be?
You know, I would probably be in the Lord of the Ring trilogy. I'm sure. Maybe like one of the elves, I think.
We just had Jackson Franklin up here.
Did he say that
a little bit ago? No, he went Aragorn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there are those of us, and I think it's probably natural for us, if we're advocates in some sense and we feel very, very strongly about what's going on, we're the warrior type, right? And we're trying to help people, but we're also not trying to leave anybody behind. And I think there's that, for those of us that are so inclined, there's that very deep vein of social justice.
Especially like in the autism community, I think of someone like Greta Thunberg, and has that, I'm not going to sugarcoat things. I see what is wrong, and I'm going to take this head on. Decorum be damned. Yeah.
Well, we just need to start telling the truth, and people apparently the truth is hard.
You know, there's the norms and the decorum and the social mores, and you don't want to step on toes and stuff. And like to that effect, I guess, in Washington, say you get there, what kind of interpersonal relationships are you looking to build there? Either amongst other Democrats across the aisle with Republicans. What is the value of these relationships? Just what do you see as the benefit of those relationships with your colleagues, potential colleagues in Washington?
Well, like I said before, I think anybody that's an advocate, you're a lifelong advocate. And if you're really trying to affect change to make people's lives better, then that means you have to work with people. I don't think that means you have to work with people to your detriment. But I also come from a farming community. So I know how important community is, like you sink or swim together. And I fully suspect I will probably align with people that have strong personalities, because I just don't have time for people that aren't willing to stand up for what's right. So I'm very certain there will probably also be people on the Republican side that I probably will meet that, maybe we do see some things eye to eye. I'm not going to shy away from what I have to say. I'm not going to shy away from my principles. But if we can build on something together and they are genuine about it, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah. For example, and Jackson brought this up when I was talking to him. If
Massey?
you look at Ro Khanna and Thomas Massey.
I was just thinking about that.
Those are, guys that probably don't agree on most things, but can come across the aisle on very important stuff and controversial stuff to get things done. Yeah. So whether in Washington or in your personal life, in your community, whatever, what do you want your legacy to be? Folks look back on your life many, many years from now. What do you want folks to say about Tabitha Zeigler?
I hope that they would say that she always did what she thought was right, that she always stood up for the little guy, that she was unapologetically truthful.
Ah, yes. Unapologetically. I like it.
Unapologetically truthful. Yes.
Finally, if folks like that unapologetically truthful message, how can they get involved with your campaign? By volunteering, by donating, by lending their talents, whatever they may be.
So we're still working on the website. It's going to be tapthezeiglerforcongress.com. You can find me on all the social media, Tabitha Zeigler. But if you really want to know who I am, listen to the podcast. I run a podcast. It's called Staring Down the Storm, Autism Advocacy in America. And we do not sugarcoat it. We tell it like it is. We talk about real life stuff that's going on with Hoosiers, stuff that's going on with Americans. And yeah, like just have a real conversation.
Very good. Well, Tabitha, it's been a pleasure to meet you here, and I've had you on the show several times
But this
before.
is the first time in person.
It is so good to finally meet you in person.
Thank you
So
for having me. I
Thank you so
appreciate it.
much. I appreciate it.